think one of our favorite things about Oaks is just really the story of his name and what he embodied through his life. We were sure we were gonna have our first girl. And so when we found out Oaks was a boy, we also found out kind of the list of concerns about him. And we had Oakland chosen for a girl. And so we went straight to Scripture to see, hey, where does Oaks come up in Scripture and what might that mean? And so we found in Isaiah 61, where it's talking about God turning mourning into dancing and turning graves into gardens. The end of that, Isaiah 61:3 says that they will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor. And so we thought, man, if this guy has all of these challenges, we want him to be strong in the sense that God shines through him and his glory is on full display, no matter what happens medically or from the world's standpoint. So it fit really with the name that we liked that we had chosen for a girl, but also really embodied what we wanted for our son, who had a lot to face. So.
And I loved him. He was really unique, and he had some crazy hair, and it was kind of a golden color. And so, when God called him home, we kind of thought, hey, he already has his crown. So that was pretty awesome. And he also had a cleft lip and palate, and his lips were really unique. They actually kind of formed a little heart. And so there were just some really unique aspects to Oaks, and I loved that he was just rare, and sometimes people think that's a negative, but yeah, it really was a positive. He's one of the most unique kids we've ever obviously met, so.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch the most acute medical professionals kind of watch Oaks and learn from him, and every day was kind of a gift for us as his parents, because we knew none were promised, but also a gift just to learn about someone so fearfully, wonderfully, uniquely made. There was no book, no website. We actually got 3 separate diagnoses until we landed on the final one of tetrasomia 9. And so that was, it was hard at times to not know, but also really cool that we had such a unique child.
I would just say, don't be so fearful, the verse, love conquers fear, love overcomes fear. That's what I needed to do more, and just cherishing every moment I had with him in the womb, and not being so worried about what the doctors were saying, because God was gonna write his story, not us, and we were just gonna wait and see what Oaks could do. And so I would just say, wait and see what your baby can do, and just cherish each moment that you have with them, whether in the womb or outside of the womb.
And I would say it's going to be as hard as you think it's going to be, but it's going to be so worth it. And you will be so proud of your son for how God is going to use him. And so convinced that God is faithful, because he was so faithful. And we prayed and prayed and prayed for healing. He didn't answer that prayer the way we had hoped, but man, he answered prayers and in so many ways that we just could have never imagined. And we loved and were so proud of the strength that Oak showed, and the way he brought our little community together, and the fact that he got to come home and meet his big brother. So the pain will be worth the time that you get to spend with your son. And then when Mom handed him over to Jesus, that was kind of a great final handoff. It's just such an awesome, unspoken connection, right? We know that people get it here, and there's such comfort in that, because there were days and times where it was just really hard, because you don't want to put everything on somebody else who really doesn't have the context. And a lot of people wanted to listen, but here you don't have to explain. The thoughts, the roller coaster of emotions, the grief, the guilt, the questions, the frustrations, the days that are just hard to wake up and face what's in front of you. There's no reason to explain here, and we just have that connection, which I think is super, super powerful.
I was kind of searching for some kind of a support group just because, his diagnosis was so rare. And so I actually got connected to a different family who was a trisomy family. And through them, she posted something about AbleSpeaks. And so I started just checking out the blog and kind of reached out to them. And I wasn't sure because initially his diagnosis being trisomy 9 wasn't an 18 or a 13. And I wasn't sure if we were going to be included, but of course they said, yes, we would love to help you and guide you. And so they're awesome to help us with just being there and supporting us. It was in the middle of COVID, so we did a lot of Zoom calls, and we're also not local to Texas. So just being there for us anytime that we needed, providing support and just showing us an example of someone who had walked that difficult road and cherished their child and made that decision to choose life.
I just think we're just super thankful that AbleSpeaks gives families permission in a way to celebrate what the world might say isn't perfect, and honor and cherish what God has created to be perfect in His image, even though medically or by the world standard it might look different. And I wouldn't trade our experience with Oaks for anything, even a perfect child, a perfect birth, a perfect plan.